Hey guys, it's Courtney here from Rose Bloom, where we intentionally design our life and business with the cosmos. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about the Scorpio New Moon, which is happening on the night of October 14th, and it's going to be happening at 23 degrees of Scorpio. So, as always, I highly recommend pulling up your own birth chart and locating where 23 degrees of Scorpio is. For example, I know that I have Pluto at 23 degrees of Scorpio, so this moon is going to be exactly conjunct my natal Pluto, which is going to affect or change the way that this new moon changes me or affects me. So it's really helpful to know that. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what we can expect from this new moon. First of all, I just wanted to say that this new moon is conjunct an asteroid called Juno. And Juno is a marriage asteroid, but it really represents our devotion to something. And devotion, I guess, past the point of sanity almost. Like you're so devoted to it that it doesn't necessarily matter if it's hurting you or helping you, you're in it. And so I feel like this energy already with Scorpio, which is a very ambitious sign, combined with Juno, is telling us to give ourselves fully over to our ambitions or our dreams or our goals. So, whatever it is in your life that you have been wanting to make progress with and haven't necessarily made that progress lately, this is your chance. Mars is just now moving direct, and the day after it moves direct, we have this new moon coming in and saying, this is a time to plant the seed of intention of the actions that you want to take to move forward to strive towards your goals. This new moon is going to be very, very positive. And just make sure that you stay tuned to your rising sign. And you can always find the links in the description. But I'll give you guys what that's going to look like specifically for you, and then of course the overall energy. So as I was mentioning, this new moon is looking really, really positive, which is something that I feel like we have needed for a long time. Scorpio is inherently a more challenging sign. It requires more out of us. And so there are going to be some elements there where we're going to have to move through shadows and really believe in ourselves in order for that ambition to get us somewhere. So inherently that's kind of built into Scorpio. However, it's being really positively supported through the different angles that it's making to planets. First of all, it's making a sextile to Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and the asteroid Pallas Athena. So all of these are really saying that it's going to be a wonderful time to start new projects, for new opportunities to start flowing. Whenever there is a sextile to Jupiter, is basically saying that all the benevolent energy of Jupiter is coming to lift you up and support you. On top of that, not only is it a good time to make connections, make opportunities happen, for changes to occur, it's also going to be supported by a strong work ethic with a sextile to Saturn, saying that if you put in the work, you will get something out of it and it will be rewarding for you. And then on top of that, with Pluto, with a sextile to Pluto, you're going to have more inner reserves. You're going to have that inner fire and passion in order to make these things like happen. And it's really beautiful to have the support from Pluto, especially with a new moon in Scorpio, because Pluto is the ruling planet of Scorpio. So they have very similar energies. So they are working in harmony together, basically saying that you can absolutely achieve whatever your ambition desires if you just put in the time and the effort. And again, that's going to require you to undergo some deep inner transformation in order for that to occur, which means it's not going to necessarily be handed to us or be easy, but it's possible. And it's like this first seed of light that we're starting to receive after so many challenging things happening, after so many retrogrades. It's like finally that go ahead. On top of that, Jupiter is conjunct Pluto, or that just happened recently. So essentially what that means is that this is a strong manifestation energy. It can also sort of multiply the negative things in our life, and I've mentioned this time and time again. So it's going to be really important for you to focus your thoughts on positive things at this time. So direct your energy into things where it's actually going to bear fruit for you, where it's actually going to bring things into your life, instead of focusing on the things that are out of your control or the things that are negative that are happening in this world. And then it's making a sextile to Pallas Athena, which I think is really interesting, that there are two key feminine asteroids playing a role here. Juno, which is showing us to invest ourselves into what we're doing, mind, body, and soul. And then Pallas Athena is coming in here to support, saying that there is this inner warrior within us that can overcome all the obstacles. And we are being supported to show that inner warrior and to use that within our work. So if you feel like you're coming up against obstacles, you can pull on that Pallas Athena energy to then support you and help you throughout this process. On top of this, it's making a trine to Neptune. So I do feel like there is a deeper spiritual backing behind what we're doing. The universe is giving us the green light, the go ahead, saying, we support you. We want you to be working on this right now. And so this trine is a really beautiful thing. At the same time, sometimes trines to Neptune can make us feel like a little bit lazier, but I feel like with all the other energy, it's more of a spiritual aspect rather than, an aspect of laziness. So I would say take the time to meditate, take the time to ground yourself and ensure that the action that you are moving forward with is something that feels spiritually aligned, because I don't think you will actually be able to last throughout all the challenges unless you are spiritually aligned with that path. So it has to have like a deeper, more purposeful why for you in order for this to really bear fruit 6 months from now when we have the full moon in Scorpio. So those are the aspects that are happening specifically to the Scorpio moon. And now I'm just going to talk about what else is going on in the sky that is not interacting necessarily with the moon. So we have a tense angle, a square between Venus and Jupiter, Venus and Saturn, Venus and Pluto, and Venus and Pallas Athena. So basically all that positive energy that was just supporting us, it's still making a tense angle with Venus. And what that means is that the area around money and relationships can feel quite tense at this time. There might still be some unresolved issues, some things that need to have tension in order for you to take action to resolve them. On top of that, what I really think about with Venus is our perspective about the beauty in life and feeling really optimistic, feeling really loved, feeling really supported. And while I do think that this moon is supporting us, I also think that we won't necessarily feel like this light and fluffy feeling around this this new moon. And I think that's a given, knowing what's going on in the world around us at this time. So that also could be the possibility coming in with this square to Venus, is that yes, we're making action. Yes, we are taking action. Yes, we are making progress, but it's not necessarily going to feel as light and easy as we want it to already. The other aspect of this, if we take it kind of bit by bit and look at each square, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend because you want to look at the whole picture, but some of these keywords can kind of fit together to create a whole picture. So I'm going to break it down for you anyway. So when we have a Venus squared to Jupiter, this can often represent, again, like this like laziness, because Venus is us enjoying things in our life, and so is Jupiter. And so when these are making a conversation with each other, we don't necessarily always have like the stamina to desire hard work to make things happen. So that's a possibility that we might have to overcome. We've had this like months of stagnation with Mars retrograde that we might have to like kick things into high gear, but we've already kind of developed this habit of taking things a little bit easier or doing things a little bit slower and things not progressing. So that shift into a different gear might jolt us a little bit, and this square might be challenging us in that way to make that shift or make that progress. Venus making a square to Saturn can make us feel less harmonious within our relationships. So it can make us feel disheartened about the people in our lives. It can make us feel lonely or like we are further distanced from those that we love. And I think that makes a lot of sense given what's happening with the election. I think a lot of people are celebrating and a lot of people are saddened by that. And so there is this discord that is happening already. So that Venus square Saturn makes a lot of sense. However, this energy obviously will be moving quickly past. It's not going to be hanging out there forever. And then Venus square Pluto, this can bring some toxicity coming up through relationships. And I feel like this is going to be more so in global relationships, like in politics, how people are fighting back. There can be manipulation, there can be scandals, and that is really where like the Venus square Pluto, I think, will come into play. So I think as a global or as a collective, community, we will experience these energies in that type of way, where there's going to be still tenseness going on in relationships with people, still manipulation and power issues related to economics and related to politics. I mean, those things have always been existing, but I think they will be more so at the forefront during this new moon as well. But still, besides all that, we're still going to be making personal progress and even, collective progress towards being more evolved and towards going after our dreams. So the last point that I want to talk about before I get into each of the signs is Mercury is making a quincunx to Chiron and is opposing Uranus. So Mercury has been opposing Uranus for a while now. And whenever it's opposing Uranus, it's giving us surprising news or brand new ideas, breakthroughs. It's like the genius strike. But again, it can also be surprising news, unexpected things, or I guess like a way of viewing things or new insights that come in that kind of jolt you. And because it's making such a harsh angle to Chiron, there's this news or this insight is coming in order to help us heal. But I think instead of helping us heal, it's going to feel quite painful. So maybe this is something that will have to come to a resolution at a later point in time. But I feel like right now, whatever news starts to come in around this new moon is not going to be, is going to be painful for some people, if not all people. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not sure what's going to come to fruition, but there can be choice words with people that you love, or there could be news that comes in regards to politics or the environment or the economy. I feel like something is going to be happening at that time that's going to feel quite painful or uncomfortable. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about where that might fall in your own personal chart. Up next, we have Taurus Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Scorpio is happening in your 7th house of partnerships, relationships, contracts. And it's making a sextile to Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, all in your 9th house. So I definitely feel like this is a new beginning for you guys in the area of your relationships. And this could be your romantic partners or your work relationships. Maybe you're signing on new clients. Maybe you guys are going to be signing new contracts yourself. And the 7th house also represents like one-on-one working with someone. So there's some aspect here that is going to be a new beginning for you. And it's going to be really supported by your personal development and your general optimism, because you guys have been having a lot of planets move through your 9th house, which have been affecting the way that you have been affecting your beliefs about life. And it's also caused you to develop a lot of new aspects of yourself, or like step more fully into yourself. Because as you examine your beliefs, as you learn new things and experiment with new things, you get a greater sense and understanding of yourself. And so all this work that you've done essentially on yourself this past year is now feeding into this new change that's happening in your work, like your contracts, or your partnership, like your romantic relationship. So it's supporting that. And you also have a trine to Neptune in the 11th house, which is again another supportive energy coming through the area of your friendships and your community, as well as the internet. I was going to say your hopes and wishes, and I do think that that's related, but I was specifically thinking of this in terms of your online community. So if you do have a business, I feel like this trine with Neptune is saying people are going to start finding you now. Like you are going to be more on the map now with this trine to Neptune, which feels extremely positive. And if it's not, like if you don't own a business, for example, and this is really coming through in regards to your partnership, then you're going to get a greater sense of support through your friends and your community. So maybe your friends are showing up in a different way in relation to your relationship. So I can't really think of an example of what I mean by that. But maybe, for example, in the past, if you've had some weird issues with a partner and you've kind of shared those with a friend, maybe your friend didn't show up in the way that you needed them to. But now I'm seeing that there's a new beginning in this partnership or whatever it is. And your friends are now there to support you. Or alternatively, if it is dealing with a partnership, having this trine to Neptune can mean that your hopes and wishes as a partner, as a combination of two people, are becoming more harmonious. You guys are having equal desires, equal future orientation, which is going to be really helpful. You guys also have Venus in Libra moving through the 6th house, and this is making a square to Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in your 9th house. So having Venus move through the 6th house is great supportive energy for your career, your daily routines, your health, and your relationships within the career atmosphere. So if you've been trying to get along with some people at your workplace, like, this is positive. However, since it's making a square to all these planets in the 9th house, there could still be some elements of not really seeing eye to eye with people. So let's say you are starting to get like new contracts with people and people are finding you now. Well, there's probably still going to be some people who don't agree with you around some things. Maybe you have certain political beliefs, certain beliefs about COVID, certain beliefs about the world, the environment, whatever. And maybe people like don't always, maybe they're like not always on board with that. So that is an element of this. And whenever there is a square, it's asking for a change to release the tension or the pressure. So maybe how you show up on the day-to-day needs to change to support these beliefs. That could be one of the ways. Yeah, it's interesting because I normally think, when I think of Venus and Libra, I'm thinking about relationships. And that's why I first said the thing about people not seeing eye to eye. And I do think that that's a common thing happening right now. But also having Venus in Libra is a great deal about valuing balance. And specifically being in the 6th house, it's creating a balance in our daily routines. So I feel like you guys have been doing so much work with Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in the 9th house around your ideals, your view of life, and your personal development. And now that there's a square to Venus in the 6th house in Libra, it's basically saying, okay, put your money where your mouth is now. And I want to see you guys actually show up and create balance in the way that you create like routine and habits and spend your time in your daily life. Create a balance that reflects all this new growth that you've done. So maybe you've learned how to set new boundaries. Maybe you've discovered new things about yourself. Maybe you are practicing new religious things, whatever. How can you then take those new aspects of yourself, your new beliefs or whatever, and bring them into your daily routines and create a harmonious balance with those things? So that's actually more of what I think that actually represents. You guys also have Mercury in the 7th house. And it's opposing Uranus in the 1st house. So you're getting new insights into your relationships, into your leadership abilities and the way that you show up, and how that reflects on the people that you work closely with. Whether that's your partner, or whether that's, again, showing up in contract, leading other people through your work. There's elements of yourself that you're beginning to understand how it interplays with others. So essentially you're getting new insights into this element of collaboration and the best way that you can collaborate now that you understand yourself on a deeper level. However, this is making a quincunx to Chiron in the 12th house. So while you are showing up with possibly these new ideas about how to move about your contracts, how to move about your relationships. There's still a tense angle happening with this this asteroid in the 12th house. So Chiron brings about issues from the past lives typically, but it could be childhood as well. And the 12th house also brings about issues from the past. So having this tense angle here is basically saying that as you're working with these new ideas, you might have things come up from the past that are kind of triggered by your new way of being in relationship. And so there might be something that needs to be resolved in regards to the past, or maybe it's not even resolving it, maybe it's just feeling it. Because I don't necessarily know that like a quincunx is something that you resolve. It's such a tense angle. But yeah, so I think it's more so just about feeling it and letting it go, but still keeping on with what you're doing. Then still choosing the new enlightened path and not going into old patterns from the past. In regards to your relationships, your contracts, the way that you work with other people, your boundaries with other people, your leadership skills, those are the things that are going to kind of come to the surface and possibly trigger past events or past patterns for you to deal with. So yeah, overall, this is actually a really positive new moon. I know I'm mentioning some negative stuff, but it's really super positive. And I think that you're going to find that a lot of beautiful new developments are coming in for you in your relationship with other people, whether that's through work or whether that is through your romantic relationships or just someone that's extremely important to you. So if this resonates, please comment down below, and thank you guys so much for staying tuned. Bye.